the group making the bridge are off with COVID, and work will start next month. Okay. So that's the hold up, unfortunately.
Okay. Oh, well,
and it's nice to see Brian. I'm not quite sure, Brian, how to pronounce your surname. Is it Dernelly?
Dernley.
Dernley. I beg your pardon. It was the A that threw me in the middle.
That's
Last time you were an observer, and today you're a fully fledged member. So welcome.
Thank you.
Does it feel better, that, Brian?
I'll tell you at the end.
Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Okay, so that's on the bridge. Is there anything else that anybody else raised that you want to mention? The Salter Fell traffic regulation, is there any suggestion about changing that at all? I'm only asking that because I remember bringing it in all those years ago, 20, 30 years ago.
Well, the main person who's pro it, sadly, he's died.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, Roger, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So perhaps, yes. Okay.
On our behalf, we did send a card to his widow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, well, I did as well. And of course, I mean, perhaps I was very remiss, but Tim passed away at the beginning of, well, a few weeks ago as well, if you remember, ex-county councillor from Pendle, who was in place when the Access Forum first started. Yeah, I went to that particular funeral, as did David. Okay. So, are we back onto the agenda now then? Are we back onto the agenda now? Have we covered all the minutes? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And we've done all the matters arising. So we're on to item 6, the Highways Act orders and Town and Country Planning Act orders. Do you want to take us through that, anybody? David?
I'm desperately looking for the list. Has anybody got any questions about it? I'm stalling for time. Has somebody got some questions about it while I try and find it here?
It's on that, you know, that email that's got the full list of all of the papers for today's meeting. It comes after those minutes that I've just spoken to.
You think something like this would help?
Yeah.
Have
you got it, David?
No, sorry, I was trying to hear what somebody was saying and failing miserably, I'm afraid.
Oh.
David, it's agenda item 6.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, my link's not working.
No. Well, it starts off with legal services having 81 files. Is that up on the previous time? I think that seems to be creeping up to me.
Yeah, it's going up. Pre-COVID, it was only 57.
Yeah.
That was 2019.
Yeah.
So it's gone a lot worse.
So it is growing, isn't it? That
3 years
of work.
Yeah, the Highways Act orders. Yeah, we've been able to take on another public path orders officer. We actually appointed them yesterday. So they will be starting in a couple of weeks' time. That will make a huge difference, because we've only had one for quite a long time. We've only had one doing those things, and most of the time her workload has increasingly been taken up with the district town and country planning act orders and issues like that. And so we've had very little resource to put into public path orders for quite a few years now. So to have a completely new post that will concentrate on that should make a big difference. And it's not just important for applicants, it's important for users as well. There's a lot of things that cannot reasonably be resolved without a diversion. And there's a lot of things where a diversion will be better for the landowner and for the public as well. The diversions are often good ways of actually gaining improvements, because we'll only certify the diversion when there's a decent surface or decent infrastructure put in, which is sometimes difficult to achieve in other ways. So we're quite excited about that. It will make a big difference.
Yeah, good. Okay, thank you. So we move on then to the definitive map modification orders. 192 live files. Again, I think that's creeping up on previous.
Yeah, I mean,
numbers.
it's the two types of orders are very different, and the Highways Act orders have relatively few that are submitted to the planning inspectorate. The delay, the cause of that backlog is all at our end, if you like. Whereas with the definitive map modification orders, there's the fact that the pandemic gave lots of people, instead of being out and about, chance to sit in front of their computers and put applications in. That was only true for the first 6 to 12 months, after which, you know, people were finding other ways of entertaining themselves, and were able to get out more as well. So that's died down slightly, but we are still getting a lot of applications because of the approaching 2026 deadline.
Yeah.
But the significant fact there has been that the planning inspectorate were one of the worst organisations in terms of being able to sort out different ways of working when the pandemic came along. So they're now back up to speed, but I don't know how long it's going to take them to catch up again with the backlog that's happened over the time. We've also had more holdups in our legal team, but they've now got a couple of extra part-time solicitors who will be working on rights of way matters, and it's already they've only just started, but it's already noticeable that we're starting to get more capacity through them. We've in fact somebody's come up with I think 5 or 6 confirmed orders just this morning. Now, it's not that they've done all the work this morning, but they've come across them. You know, they've got the paperwork together this morning. So that extra little bit of resource in both teams is starting to have a huge effect, and it will have a huge effect. I'm very pleased about it.
Okay, well, that's welcome. That's good news.
It really is, yeah.
So what I would say is, pre-COVID, was only 101 live files. Now it's 192. So hopefully they'll start going down.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
you say hopefully though. I mean, we hopefully people will still be putting applications where they're needed and appropriate. It's a two-way thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing that there are more people doing that.
Agree.
True. I mean, I do worry about the deadline, you know, in terms of our, you know, we know that across Lancashire, historically, we've got a relatively low number of bridal wares. It's always, from my point of view, been bridal wares, which has been the issue. And I'm not sure that we're going to have particularly redressed that historic difference.
I think that's a fair point. I think, yes, the bridal way users have been putting in more applications than others, but you're absolutely right. It won't by any means have redressed the balance.
No, that's right. Okay, are we on to the strategic statement of priorities? Do you want to take us through this, David? Because it's obviously your document, this one. It's one that's got a 2013 date on it, so we've obviously looked at it in the past, I guess.
Yes, we did it in 2013. The idea was at the time that it would be fairly robust in terms of the how long it would be valid for. We don't actually have any reason to suspect it isn't now, but we do think it's time for review. And the observer, Elsa Gibson, who was mentioned earlier on, she's helping us with that, and that's why she's listening in to see what people have got to say about it.
Okay, good.
Hopefully people will have had a chance to have a look at that beforehand, and would certainly appreciate comments from anyone who's online now about the principles or anything else to do with that. It covers the order that we should look at diversions, look at maintenance issues, look at DMMOs, the whole field of rights of way. It's only a statutory document as far as the definitive modification orders are concerned, but we've expanded it to include everything, and it does. It is quite important in that sense, and it would be good to hear what people have to say, and if not now, please let us know. There will be more formal consultation.
Honestly, from the Peak and Northern perspective, it's a completely new document to us, so we've no prior sort of knowledge about it. So, I mean, the proposal I was sent here with was that we would give you some written comments once our management team had time to review and debate any issues. I think personally, the underlying principle in section 1 is one that I think I would agree with, that the greatest benefit should go to the public. I've got some issues with over footpath signage in general, and how this statement fits in with the policy announced at the last meeting of dealing with roadside signs by the parish by parish schedule. And I think too, there's a couple of paragraphs in there relating to gating orders. And I think gating orders are no longer being made, are they? There's some new legislation in the Antisocial Behavioural Act that affects them.
It's never really operated properly in Lancashire. They should have always come to us for consultation, but they very rarely did, actually.
Yeah, gating orders have been superseded by public space protection orders, but the principle still applies. But they're very rare. They're very rare in Lancashire anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just if you're going to put it in the policy, then I think we should reflect the latest.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you'd be here. Basically, what I'm saying is you'd be getting a written response from Peak and Northern.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good. That'll be very welcome. Has anybody else got any comments? I mean, it did strike me as being a very comprehensive document covering anything I could ever have thought of. Sue, yeah.
Just on a superficial point, really, but I do think that the font is very user-friendly because it's different to everything else, different from
the comic, whatever it is, isn't it? Font?
Yeah, it's good. I like it. And children like it as well.
Yes. Yes.
David Kelly.
Yeah. The one situation I don't think is covered is when you get a building and the landowner then does nothing about it. The one I'm thinking about is Salisbury 36 in Pacifics at Blakey A, where they put a new barn in, the footpath. The footpath's now been diverted. It's over 30 years ago. And if the landowner is not going to do anything about it, how do we actually either force him to make an amendment to the right of way, as it were, application, or do we actually have to do it for him?
I'm not familiar with that. It would depend on the particular circumstance. And I'm not familiar with that particular one, or I can't. At least ways I can't bring it to mind.
Yeah, can you just run through it, David? What's the?
Yeah, one of the roads in Severable 35 years ago. I started walking local footpaths. I came across this farmyard. I was partly told you should go around the west of it. Going around the west of the farmyard is unofficial, but it was a kind of concessionary footpath in. Great in summer, it's a nice footpath, but in winter, it soon gets waterlogged because it's below the level of the farmyard. So the water flows out of the farmyard straight onto the concessionary footpath. So,
yeah, I mean that's probably a good example of why the statement of priorities is appropriate. how urgent doing a diversion is depends on the quality of any permissive alternative while the correct line is blocked. And as you say, it makes a big difference at different times of year. That's got to be a factor, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, David.
Yeah, I'll send you my comments on Salisbury 36 the next day or so.
Right. Are there any other points that anybody wants to raise? So is it going out to a slightly wider consultation, did you say, David?
Yes, I mean we'll be inviting comments from the easy consultations to do are the usual suspects, which are Local Access Forum, Rights Away Access Forum, Beacon Northern, Ramblers, British Horse Society, and so on. We would like to do wider consultation with the general public, but it's, as we know from the Rights Away Improvement Plan, that's actually quite difficult to do. It's quite difficult to do. It's quite difficult to engage
Yes.
with one of our major bodies of customers, which are dog walkers. But there isn't, they're not part of a dog walkers group by and large, and
Yeah.
so that's a challenge for Ailsa to come up with some innovative ways, possibly using social media. I mean, certainly before, when we tried going into the libraries, the majority of respondents statistically were the librarians who were sitting there with nothing to do in the libraries. It was that bad in terms of our public response. So we wouldn't try that again. But yeah, there are other methods, and I'm hoping Ailsa will come up with some suggestions.
Chairman, County Councillor John Shedwick, just to ask David, I take it you will get good responses from parish councils.
Yeah, parish councils are we certainly have asked them before. You know what it's like with parish councils. You'll get some very enthusiastic ones and some that you don't get a reply, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
I mean, just on that point, my sort of experience, the parish councils I have, if there's a consultation hits the clerk's desk, it gets on the agenda as a general, but you find that's not always the case, do you?
Well, the problem is that parish councils get bombarded with such a lot of things, and they are run by people with very little, they've got a certain amount of time, and they can only respond to a certain number of what's coming in. So I have a great deal of sympathy. Although I get frustrated when I don't get an answer, I do actually have quite a bit of sympathy for their position.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Shall we move on then? Okay, well, thank you for that document, David. Very comprehensive. We're on to a list of footpath and bridleway anomalies. Now, I don't know what this is. What's this all about?
We'll get that, and then I'll figure it out.
I think that's probably going to be for myself, or rather Neil, if you've been present.
Oh, yeah.
10 to 6, isn't it?
So what is it, David?
Yeah. Lancaster Group have gone through their map and picked up various little anomalies on the map, like footpaths through farmyards or just stopping short of a road. And they've sent the list into council, i.e. Mr. Good's outfit, and DMLs have not been issued to correct the anomalies.
Not yet.
Probably you can say it's a priority, but I would have thought easy stuff to do would be an easy way of getting rid of the backlog.
Yeah.
I think if I understand you rightly, you're saying adding more things to the list would be a good way of getting rid of the backlog.
I think the danger is if you put even more items in there, is the backlog going to get even worse?
I'm not. Yeah. I can't quite grasp what you're saying, but let me give a background to the. We are aware there's a huge number of anomalies of the type that you mentioned. There is one example. There's others, of course. Changes of status or stopping altogether at parish boundaries is another example. Or and certainly these are different from straightforward errors. Now, anyone is open to making an application, a DMMO application, to take care of these, or we can do it proactively ourselves, or we can wait and see what the rules are for the end game when DEFRA come up with it to tell us what's going to happen about these sort of things come 2026. But the one of the things that you were saying just now is, yes, do those first to get rid of the backlog. There's always the balance between doing something that is a quick and easy hit, or doing something that is the greatest public benefit, and this touches back onto the statement of priorities. It doesn't, that principle doesn't just apply to the DMMOs and anomalies, of course, it applies to maintenance enforcement issues as well. When I started here 10 or 12 years ago, the approach was very much, yes, you can tick off lots of things by going for the quick wins, but that doesn't always, and in fact I would argue more often than not, doesn't benefit the public most. If you've got a path which is 2 meters wide and a meter of it is blocked, we have an absolute statutory duty to get that other meter open as well. It might be something that's relatively easy to do, and it's appropriate. However, because most people are less than a meter wide, the number of people that is actually stopping using that route and therefore can use it once we've cleared that extra meter is minimal. So it might be an easy one to do, and we could do lots of easy ones, or on the other hand, we could address an obstruction that is completely stopping anybody getting through, which is a bit more effort, and it only gets us one tick at the end of the day. If we're counting ticks, we only tick one off there, but that one tick is far more valuable than 10 other ticks that we could have done instead. You look at the number of, if you count the number of ticks, we've not done so well. If you work out the benefit to the public, we've done much better. And that's the difficulty of trying to of understanding what we're measuring when we're looking at backlogs and things, and looking at priorities. That's coming back to why the statement of priorities is so important, and why we're really keen that you would give us your comments on that and pick up things like this.
Yeah. Well, when it says list, is there actually a written list somewhere for this item 9, list of footpath and brideway anomalies?
We're compiling. I mean, we've got lists. When I come across one, I sort of make a note of it myself. I think David referred to a list that he's made. There isn't an official list.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm just wondering how big it is, this list.
I would
be a big one.
I would estimate for across the county, you're talking of 4,000 or 5,000, but it depends on where you draw the threshold. You know, if you and that depends on what the rules that DEFRA come up for the end game. If a 2 meter gap between the end of the road and the end of the side of the road and the end of the path is going to be regarded as de minimis, then that would get rid of a lot. If it's potentially the end of the through route for that path, then it makes the situation a whole lot more serious.
Okay.
There are a lot of the sort of example that David mentioned just now, where a path, the statement says that the footpath goes to Mill Farm or Church Terrace or something, and the map shows it, the definitive map shows it with a blob that finishes round about there, and it doesn't actually say it finishes at Burnley Road or whatever. Then you've got that ambiguity. You know it must have gone through, sort of, but that's that sort of head knowledge and assumption and so on is not very useful in terms of the exactness that we need on the definitive map.
Okay. Any more to say on that? No?
Yeah,
All right.
okay, we got one. Well, just that cover cycle
Go
there,
on,
so
Mark.
cycle paths, because there's that one that's West, is it Westview, where the footpath, it is a footpath, shared footpath, it goes up, it goes towards the station, and it's blocked by a fence
Where are you?
at Preston.
Oh, right, yeah, in the by the station.
That's right. The initially the excuse was it can't be continued because there's a temporary bridge over to Westley. No, Westley. What's it called? It's not Westley. It's something west. It used to be county council offices, but it's now a hotel.
Well, planning offices.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes, there's a temporary bridge now. I think it's been now repaired now. Why? So that excuse for not continuing along, for the continuation of that path can't be used.
Well, that's a completely different issue. That there isn't a right of, that's not an anomaly on the rights of way network. That's something that was wanted to be created and hasn't. And as I understand it, it was nothing to do with that bridge. It was objection from the owners of the car park, not an excuse used because the bridge might fall down. If the bridge had been dangerous and in danger of falling on people, then it would have had to been fenced off. Whereas as it was, you got lots of people going up as far as the fence, turning around, hanging around under the bridge and then going back again. So it clearly wasn't a worry about the bridge falling on people.
Okay. Okay. Can we move on to item 10 then, which is public rights of way data? I'm not sure what this is.
That's David Kelly again.
David.
I think it comes back to we were talking about earlier, getting stuff in to clear the DMO backlog. And I'm feeling it's probably in one sense a duplicate of the DMO figures. And how quickly are we going to get extra stuff in?
I mentioned before about another public path orders officer. We're also taking on 2 more maintenance enforcement, which effectively represents a 50% increase. Probably slightly more than that because we've got one off sick on long term. So yeah, that extra resource is going to make a huge difference.
Okay.
Have the extra 2 been appointed or are they actually in post?
I rang them today to say, here's your offer, do you want it? And they both said yes.
All right. So they'll be starting tomorrow.
Early Feb, that should be sitting in the desk or sitting in the van, as it were.
So it's going to be it's going to be a month before they're both starting, and then they haven't got rights of way experience. So we've got to train them and bring them up to speed. But yeah, we're really pleased. The standard of applications was high. For advertising 3 posts, historically, I would have expected to get about 100 applicants, perhaps, and 50 of which would have been chances. We only got 20 applications, but they were all very good. They were also all local. Normally we would get people from all over the country, but there's quite a lot being advertised elsewhere in the country. So we only got Lancashire applicants. They were all very good applications on paper. Normally we would interview perhaps 20 that if we shortlisted down to 20 and perhaps interviewed 10, we would expect 3 or 4 of those to be good. And of the good ones, we might get ones that we're prepared to take on because we are very careful. This time we shortlisted down to 8, and we could have taken any of 7 of them. We could have taken any of those quite happily. Very high standard, and we're really pleased with the appointments that we're making. So yeah,
Good.
we're very optimistic about it.
Chairman, County Councillor John Shebbeck, I think it can only be applauded. It's obviously going to be great help to you, David, to have help in enforcement, because that's a critical area of your operation.
Absolutely right. Yes.
Good. Very good. Excellent.
Going back to 2010 when austerity started, the footpath section was full of ex-policemen. Have we got any more ex-coppers because they do good experience of enforcement work?
Funnily enough, we didn't get any ex-police this time applying. We did get, which was new for us, we got 3 ex-teachers applying. That says something about something, but I'll leave you to decide what. But yeah, a lot of teaching, same as police and military, they're all occupations where you've got you to do it successfully, to do it well, you need good people skills, and that's. I'll just, if it's okay with you, Richard, I'll just explain our selection procedure. Is that okay?
Yes, fine. Yeah.
We have a fairly thorough selection procedure. What we do is for each, so for these 8, we did it over nominally 2 days, except for one got COVID and we had to postpone. But so we'll take 4 candidates. We will give them a 2-hour navigation test. We have to have people who can navigate accurately and precisely. So we say what we do is we had 4 of us. We started at effectively 2 ends of a figure of 8. We have each one of us is with one of the candidates, and they lead us round a quarter of the figure of 8, and then we swap and pass them on to the next. So each of our 4 members of staff walks the same bit of land 4 times, and then 4 times the following day with each of the 8 different candidates. They've got instructions to navigate following the line on the map to within 2 meters, and to tell the person they're with if they have to or choose to divert from the line on the map. And that might be because the bridge is in the wrong place, or there's a fierce dog, or there's it's overgrown or swampy. We don't mind. What we want is them to know precisely where they are on the ground and precisely where the path is, in order to make sure they can do that not just while they're concentrating. We give them other things to do at the same time. We say, we want you to make a note of all the signs, all the structures, and we will ask them, okay, any particular point to the map, show us exactly where you are now. So we give them that test. Some of them, obviously, some of them who are used to walking or cycling or whatever, using Ordnance Survey, Explorer and Land Region maps, are thrown because they've suddenly got very large scale, and we'll give them, the route will be on 4 pieces of A4, which will all be at slightly different scales. So we do test. The idea is there's no point in giving a test that 90% of them can do. We want a test that the best can just about do 100%, and then you've got a range over which you can judge the performance. Yeah, we got. The idea is we never give full marks. Of these applicants this time, we gave 2 of them full marks. The sort of person who not only is doing that, but is chatting to you about their interests or whatever at the same time, who can really do it with their eyes closed. So we do that. We then take them, usually we take them back to County Hall. On this occasion, we sent them home and told them to get in front of a computer and click this link. And then we email them instructions for a written exercise based on the observations they've made during the navigation test. And that's why it's important to give them that distraction from the navigation, that they are making these observations and making these notes. So they then we say, you've got an hour to do these 4 things. You haven't got time to do these 4 things, but that's real life. They're all equally important. You've got to cope with that. And that they are things like do a report of the number of structures that you found on this route that needed attention, or give a report of the signage that you noticed on the route that was in good order. Write a memo to a fictitious line manager saying, these are really urgent, you need to do this straight away, get this done straight away. And another one being, a report to a landowner saying this needs doing, or a report to a contractor saying an order to a contractor. So we give them that written test for an hour. We then have a panel interview with three of us asking questions, see whether they fit in with, whether they're going to fit in with the team, whether they've got an enthusiasm for the subject, whether they're committed to access, or whether it's just they want a bit of a promotion, or they're fed up with what they're doing. We're looking for where they've got experience of conflict resolution, negotiation skills. And yeah, they almost universally, they really enjoy the day. They appreciate that they are being properly tested, and following that model, you know, I've been following that model for the last 20 years and had pretty good success. So I'm pleased that, you know, I'm happy that we've got a robust procedure and a fair procedure. That's how we run. That's how we've chosen the 2 maintenance enforcement and the 1 public path orders post that we're about to appoint.
That sounds good. Very, yeah, very comprehensive. Very, very detailed. Thank you, David.
It is really necessary, because it is, if you make the wrong choice, particularly with a small team like ours, you make the wrong choice, it's difficult to do anything about it. The public suffer from that lack of resource, and we suffer from having that person that it's difficult to then get into a more suitable post or get rid of altogether. So it is so important to get it right.
Yeah, very good. Sounds good. Very good. Thank you. Shall we move on then to circular routes from the coastal path? Is there anything more to report on the coastal path, by the way? It's still progressing, isn't it?
It is progressing. We're now up to carrying out the works on the southern, I can't remember what it's called, but the southern section down to the Southport
right
border. The works are able to be started on that now.
When you say works, you mean work on the ground?
Yeah, work on the ground.
Right.
But not. Okay. But it can't. But it's not able to be. It's not able to be badged as the England Coast Path yet.
Right.
Until it links to. For some reason, it's not able to be badged as England Coast Path until it joins to Wales. That makes no sense to me, but that's what I was told.
All right. Okay.
What's happening with the Douglas crossing?
Unfortunately, there's no appetite for a bridge. We've got to go right the way down to the road, which we're not at all happy about. But we're not terribly happy about having to use a couple of other things like the Knot End Ferry either. But
there we are. C'est la vie.
To be honest,
so the circular footpaths. Who's put this on the agenda? Is this somebody working some circular footpaths up, or is this a project for the future, or what?
I don't know where this came from.
Circular routes.
Yeah, I don't know who put it on the agenda.
No.
All I asked for was just a plain coastal path, because we're going to go the route from Escus Bank into the centre of Liverpool approved, so that'll be a long good stretch. If we can get both our side done, Liverpool do their side, as it were. I'll say the other bits are we're waiting for the planning inspectorate, so we can get 2 sections or 2 chapters together. And the planning inspectorates are all unto themselves, unfortunately.
I mean, there must be plenty of scope for circular routes, but presumably we're just waiting for, interested people to start putting them together and then publicising them, are we? I guess we won't be taking any initiatives, or the county council won't be putting any.
I'm not aware of any. There is a lot of interest in that sort of thing at the moment nationally, because of the awareness of the health benefits of short walks is far greater than there's not many people going to be walking the England Coast Path.
No.
But there will be thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands who will walk bits of it, and that's the real value of it. It's people who will be able to get out and walk a little bit of it. And the obvious thing then is, rather than just walk back again, is to do a circle. So there's a lot of scope, and to be able to use the health initiatives, which is having money behind it, to use the health initiatives. That's where I see the greater benefit than producing yet another long distance path. That are the sort of people who will walk a long distance path are going to walk along a long path regardless of whether we provide one or not. It's really getting people off the sofas and walking to 1 or 2 miles where the benefit is.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Item 12, COVID and resourcing.
Richard, could I
Sorry,
just ask a
Richard.
question about about the cost? I've got my hand up. Sorry.
Sorry,
It's Alison.
I didn't see that on my screen.
No worries. It's Alison from Wire. David will know what I'm asking. I just want to know what's happening with that section on the coastal way, obviously from Silverdale to Cleveland, where we have some new works, I think, being planned around the Pilling, Fluke Hall, and back towards Cochrane area. I just wondered if there was any progress, and whether or not I could have an update. Is Julie still working on that, David, or is it somebody else doing it now?
It's still Julie. That's right. Yeah. You've got her contact details, I presume, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, last time I spoke to her, she didn't really have a lot to say. So I'm just interested that you've obviously started doing some work now in Southport. So keen to understand a bit more, because there's quite a big impact around the Pilling, Lane Ends area in particular.
Yeah, it all depends. The order it is really dependent on where the objections are or aren't. That's what dictates which bits can go ahead and which bits can't.
Yep. The ones with the most benefits, like Pilling Embankment, unfortunately, is with the planning inspectorate. So there'll be nothing happening with Lane Ends, Pilling, until the planning inspectorate make a decision of some kind.
It's sort of not surprising that the ones with the greatest benefit are also the most likely to have objections. Really, it's fairly intuitive, that, I think.
Yeah, because I think the reason why I'm asking the question is it won't be a simple job. There's quite a lot involved. It affects different landowners in terms of the infrastructure that will go on the ground. And we obviously particularly interested at Lane Ends, at Pilling, along with the Environment Agency. So I'm just thinking about practicalities. Once we know we've got some movement, it'd be really good to get started with understanding on the planning process of installations and how we do it, really. That was all. But fair enough, if it's still with planning, then
keep talking to Julie. She's good.
Smashing. Thanks for that, David. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you both, Davids, actually.
Okay. Thank you. Can we now move on then to 12, COVID and resourcing? Not sure who's put that one on.
I don't know who put it on. I mean, I can give a bit of an overview from how it's affected us, if you like, Richard.
Yeah, please.
We were fortunate in that our way of working was not greatly affected. We mostly worked remotely anyway. We used phones and Zoom before this came along. What the big difference it made to us was not so much the resourcing, but the demand. The demand increased hugely and has not gone away. And also the number of obstructions because of landowners and householders' understandable fear in the early days. There were a lot of signs went missing, and although the fear has reduced as the understanding of the disease has the virus has increased, that hasn't put signs back up or removed. Some obstructions have been removed as the fear has subsided, but the signs haven't gone back up. So there's a lot of residual work to be done to catch up with that, as well as a lot more people using that work, which is great, of course. There has been some extra money we've been able to tap into. There've been some extra projects. There's been, although there were some authorities that effectively their rights of way team shut down, or that they had people seconded from their rights of way team elsewhere. We were going the other way. We were flat out, and we had some extra resource. For instance, the people who were normally doing within our team who were doing cycle schemes were instead helping fight the backlog of COVID related obstructions that were appearing. And I'm sure it's not unrelated to the fact that we've got these 3 posts that we're now about to bring on stream. So yeah, it could be a lot worse. Yes, obviously we've got extra work because of it, but extra users because of it. So it's I think it's a 6 and 2 3s really.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. I think we're just about there now. Is there any other business? Item 13.
Yeah. Can I ask a question of somebody, please? Local transport plans and rights of way improvement plans should both go together. But Lancashire's local transport plan seems to have gone nowhere. The updating of it. Does anybody know anything?
I didn't catch that. Could you say it again?
Yeah.
Local
transport plan,
where we're at.
rights of way improvement plans should both go hand in hand. Some local authorities like Warrington have done their updated local transport plan, but Lancashire doesn't seem to have started. Or might just have started, then quickly gave it up.
I don't know the answer to that. I do know that one of the people who was working on it is now working on something else. He applied for a different job within the authority. That might have some I presume that's got some bearing on it. It would be a poor show if it had no bearing on it, really. But that's only because I happen to know that somebody's changed post. I don't know really any more about where they're up to with it.
We used to have quite regular briefings about that, didn't we? We used to be consulted on aspects to do with it, because the improvement plan is part of it, isn't it? Rights of way improvement plan.
Yeah, they should be linked.
Should be part of that, shouldn't it?
The fact that Lancashire hasn't updated it, I know we've had 2 years of COVID, and our plan probably has got low priority, but at some point it's going to be needed.
Okay. Well, perhaps somebody can try and find out for us where that's at. Let us know. Okay. Are we on to the date of the next meeting?
Can I, before you do that, can I just ask?
Yes, Brian.
Dave, sorry, can I just ask David about the scheduling of road signs? At the last meeting, you gave us the schedule of when road signs would be actioned. For 2021, it had wired and filed. That, of course, that's where I live, and I can't see any that have been put in. Has the actual exercise gone ahead?
They normally happen over the winter months, because they're things that can be done when people can't get onto the fields and so on. So that it should be about now. I will. Funnily enough, it occurred to me a couple of days ago. I thought I ought to chase that up, see where we're up with that. I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but I can find out.
Good.
Thank you.
If Garth, if you can put that as an action point, and then I'll find out so it can go out with the minutes.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be good. Very good. Okay. Date of next meeting. Are we looking at 12 months?
Based on last year, I think we're looking at sometime in July, is my guess.
Yeah.
Or we're going to go back to how we operated before Country Rights of Way Improvement Plan. It's once every 4 months. There's some way to make a decision. Are we going on 4 monthly meetings, 6 monthly meetings, or what?
What does anybody think?
There is a problem with the more often we have them, the fewer resources we can put into it. So it's a balance.
I think we'll go for 6 months. And if there's more input, more stuff to discuss, we take it to 4 months.
I think that's a good idea. Have a bit of flexibility according to what the amount of business is.
Yes.
So are we looking for what, a meeting in June or July?
It's usually July, isn't it?
Yeah. Anybody like to suggest a date? I mean, is a Tuesday a reasonable day? We usually have morning meetings, incidentally, don't we? It's the first time we've had an afternoon meeting, I think. We usually either Tuesday or I think maybe Thursday, I can't remember.
Garth might need to look at the meeting schedule generally, see
Yeah.
where it can best slot in. So at least we can attend. I'm being selfish about it. So
No, I'll get back to all members.
Do you want to do that, Garth? Then just check it with
Yep.
county council meetings. Then we don't have any.
We're giving roughly to the same timetable. It'd be something like the 12th of July, which is a Tuesday.
Yeah. So if we can look for something around about that date,
Yeah.
then can you put it on the minutes for us, Garth? And then let us know. Okay.
I think
Is
an
there
email
anything
out as to what date you picked would probably be useful, and people can reserve it in diaries.
Yes, we need it to get it in diaries as soon as possible, really. Okay.
And can we just clarify before we leave, are we going to separate the LLAF and the Public Rights of Way Access Forum?
Yeah, I think the agreement was it was only a joint one as a one-off because of the agenda items being so much the same.
So both meetings will be held in July, but on different days.
No, same day, but one after the other.
Okay.
One following the other. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Are we going okay with that? Okay. Well, thanks very much indeed.
thank you.